Hello parents, thank you very much for letting your children come and spend this time with us here at Lake Lundgren. We had an excellent time and we hope that they did also. We had a lot of fun, we played a lot of games, and we learned a lot of things about God's character. And one of the things that we learned about God's character is that knowing about God and knowing God are two different things. And I pray that God is working in the heart of your young person to really get a hold of them in this season and really show them who He is. We learned about God's holiness, and that there are things like the example of this net. There are things like sins that so easily entangle us, that keep us from reaching God's holiness, that keep us from being able to be in God's presence. And we also talked about all of the good things that become ultimate things that we let take precedent over God, like sports and grades and other school-related activities, and thinking that we're good people when we're really not. And we talked about all these things. We talked about what it's like to persevere and endure and persevere in hardship and to endure suffering for God's name, and what it means and how hopeless it is to endure suffering without God's name. We talked about what God's will is for our life, and it's not about what college a young person is going to choose, and it's not about who a young person is going to date, and it's not any of those questions. But we talked about God's will being that God desires that He knows us and that we know Him. We talked about God's will for our lives, that He desires that we're in His Word and we're communicating with Him, and we're asking Him questions, and we're being patient and waiting to hear from Him. We talked about God's will in looking to Jesus, the author, the founder, and the perfecter of our faith, and looking to Jesus and looking at Jesus' character and looking at Jesus' life and having that show us what we can do. And in that, I think that there was a lot of great truth that was shared, and so I'm very, very excited and very much looking forward to seeing your young person come back around next year and just hearing all the great things that they do and just hearing how God has touched them and blessing them in this next year. Thank you very much.